Hello and welcome, Simon's Trading Channel. My name's Simon. This is my daily Bitcoin price action analysis. Happy Friday to you. That's the end of another week. Another week of what I hope was one of opportunities for you. And on that note, here is the CME weekly chart, which I'm going to talk to you about in one moment when I've confirmed that this is not financial advice. Right, here's the weekly on CME. And as you can see, there's only an hour and a half left to go for its closure. So unless something desperately bizarre happens in the next 90 minutes, which is extremely unlikely, it's going to be a sequence of two indecision candles. So that's what these mean to me. These are equal buying and selling pressure when basically the price closes the week at the same point as it opened the week. So that, to all intents and purposes, is very boring price action. Doesn't mean a lot on a weekly time frame, but on the lower time frames, you can see how boring it's been. Anyway, I will endeavour to make it a bit less boring by jumping down into the lower time frames, and I'll do that on Bybit, because Bybit's not about to close in an hour and a half. Bybit, of course, never closes, much like some of the other perpetual exchanges. You get a weekly closure at midnight on Sunday, and then immediately another weekly candle opens, I don't know, like a nanosecond later. And so, yes, the range of doom is still intact. And I hate to keep going on about this, but unless something drastic happens between now and Sunday, that will be... where did I start? No, this made the range. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 weeks. And I think it was 2 weeks in. I predicted 8 weeks. So, I mean, the way things are looking at the moment, it looks like there's going to be more than 8 weeks. But 8 weeks would be basically starting on Monday. And... well, who knows, right? Who knows? So, excuse me while I pick my nose. But there you go. Only 1 week to go until hopefully there's a bit of decision made by Bitcoin, ideally to the upside, but maybe to the downside. And we could probably get a bit more of a spin on that on the lower time frames. So let's get down into them. Get down and dirty into the 4 hour. So here we go, 4 hour chart, and it's the one that I've shown you over the last couple of days. I had this, so after this moved down and then bounced up, I had this sort of, it is a support resistance line, but it's not super strong. So the super strong support resistance lines are at the top and the bottom of the range, right? And then in between you get support resistance lines, which sort of pertain more to the lower time frames, but clearly they are significant to the other time frames. And it has bounced off there, but it's sort of paused. So you can see there was this hammer or whatever candle you want to call it to the upside, which was yesterday afternoon. And I kind of expected a bit more of an up move following that, but it's basically gone sideways, and I'll show you that in more detail on a 15-minute time frame. But effectively, this is still intact. And so when I say this, clarify, what do you mean? Well, this is a low, and then this is a potential higher low, will remain intact, in my humble opinion, as long as Bitcoin stays on a 4 hour or more above 62.5. And logically, it has to do that. Otherwise, this won't be a higher low, And that's what my price action analysis is all about. Trend and areas of interest, i.e. support resistance levels. So right now, the trend is to the upside on the lower time frames, having bounced off close to the bottom of the range, although I would have preferred it to a proper retest. And I remember saying that at the time. So that is still intact, but it would be negated with 4 hour or more closures back below 62.5. And I'm not sure at this point. Well, I never know what's going to happen, but just looking at that price action, I'd think that the market is indecisive. That's what I would say. I don't think it's over yet, but we'll have a look at momentum. Now, the 4-hour MACD is below the 0 line. It's fairly close to it. So I think this number here, the number at which it, or the value at which it needs to achieve to cross back above the 0 line, is fairly accurate. And just call it 68,000. It's quite far away from current price action. And therefore, momentum is still to the downside. Only just, but still to the downside. And that's got to be taken into account. That has got to be taken into account. Okay, to look at it in a bit more detail, zoom down to 15 minutes. What's the time? Nearly 6 minutes. I don't know where the time goes when I do these videos, because I feel like I'm talking through the whole thing and hopefully giving reasonable information, not just waffling on. But yeah, 6 minutes in. Okay, so this is the 15-minute time frame, which you can see a bit clearer, the sequence of moves. So up, down, up, and then you wouldn't call this an impulsive move, would you? This to me is it's a sequence of small moves up with consolidations. And this last one, which I talked about on Wednesday, broke down to the bottom. And then it's basically been consolidating since. So when was that? That was Wednesday evening. And it's set up a kind of mini range, with the bottom being at 62.5, and then the top being at basically, just call it 65.5, so a $3,000 range there. So if I draw in I can put in a little blue trend line. Now, these aren't absolute areas. Sometimes they work out absolutely, but they should never be thought as absolute lines even. They should be thought more of as areas. And so this is basically the midpoint, and you'll see that it's in itself is more of a rectangle than a line. So the midpoint consists of that price action that I just pointed out to with that line and this one. So this whole area is the midpoint. And so closures back above there look good for more upside and would confirm this as a higher low. But momentum doesn't feel like it's that direction with its bias at the moment. And even if we just look at the MACD on the super low time frame, 15 minute, you can see it is down and will remain down while Bitcoin is below 64,250. Now, if you refer to the chart, so 64,250 is close to where price action is at the moment, but effectively a move back above this high on the very low time frames. So whatever it is, it's more like here, but just call it 65.5 would really confirm that momentum is back up on the extremely low time frames. It would confirm this as a higher low, and then the rest will fall out of that. But right now it's not there. So, part of me has got a bit more of a lower time frame downside bias. And if you look at this price action, I want to keep this in the 10 minutes, chaps, but I don't want to rush, because there's no point in rushing, right? But if you look at this as price action, it only needs to get down below this low. So this is like sort of hourly, I guess it is up to a 4 hour, but basically low time frames. It only needs to get back below there, and then you got a lower low with a high and a lower high. So that would then be a lower time frame downtrend, breaking potentially this support resistance line and, maybe completing the move that I expected here to challenge the bottom of the range, but, hopefully not break it. So yeah, that's both sides of the coin there. I hope I explained that in an okay way. What I'm saying is, for this to be a higher low, price needs to get back above here really, and if it doesn't, then this becomes the high, and then you end up with the etchings of a lower time frame downtrend. So there we go. That's 10 minutes. I'm going to leave it at that. If you've enjoyed the video, then please like and subscribe. And if you haven't enjoyed the video, don't come back tomorrow, because that'll be Saturday's price action. We'll see what's happened overnight. Okay, take care. Enjoy what's rest of your the remainder of your Friday. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.